Welcome to Touched and Empowered, a show created to empower individuals to value their lives by hosting think tank discussions that will inspire positive action. Touched and Empowered with Katie and Ace starts now.
Everyone, welcome to this episode of Touched and Empowered. If you can't tell, William Goodman has rubbed off on me, and hence why I have a random twang. With that being said, our topic for today, because I just had one maybe an hour ago, breaking points. And what kind of breaking points are there? What do they look like? What variations do you have? I have a few, and I bet Katie does too.
Yes, I can think of several times where I've reached a breaking point in my life or in my world. And they could be big, they could be small, they could be completely irrelevant. The breaking point might not the thing that causes the break might not be all of the buildup, but I think that's where that phrase, the straw that broke the camel's back, came from.
Oh.
Sometimes it could be just this tiny little thing and you just erupt.
That was today. Thank you, Katie, for describing exactly what happened. So everybody knows
without me knowing anything. That's amazing.
We're in alignment. That's just how that works, Hey, thank you. Thank you. So funny enough, midnight in human years is 7 years old.
Yes, your puppy.
Right. What happens to 7-year-old children?
They like to run around and drive their parents crazy.
Exactly. And they throw tantrums and all the fun stuff. So I guess I just didn't know where my tolerance level went, because apparently I had a full capacity, like a whole tank of just able to just continue to be sweet with the most adorable dog that is my size,
Mm-hmm.
Today I just had it. It was like the straw that broke the camel's back was her almost eating my lunch.
Oh.
Like I just saw her face go near it and I forgot how loud I am.
You projected your voice.
Oh, did I project it? I was a cheerleader once, right? So I know how to project by myself. And I know how to drop the octave to make sure it doesn't hurt.
Right.
And I remember I turned and went, of course, we're not going to really go to the.
Yeah, please don't do it really in the microphone. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Katie has headphones on and she would.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
My cute, adorable dog did one of these.
A 180 sit down.
180 sit down. I'm sorry.
Yep.
And then she laid down. She was cuddling me. She was like, and I was like,
she was apologizing.
And I was like, I forgive you. So she sat next to me. I would put her toy there and I would lay down with her, but still focus on what I needed to do.
Right.
But and it was like maybe I wouldn't say 10-second yell, maybe like a 1.2 second yell.
Mm-hmm.
That was louder than that.
Yes.
That doesn't normally come out of mom. Don't make me do it.
Yeah.
Again, I love you. So that was my breaking point today. Please go ahead, Katie. Your turn.
I understand from. I've had dogs growing up. I had cats growing up. I am a mom of a kid now in college. Yes, I can think of several times where there's been a breaking point. But I think it also depends on everything that led up to that breaking point. Because I can think of one or two times where I snapped at Austin and then apologized for it because I was stressed, I was overwhelmed, and all this other stuff that had absolutely nothing to do with him was emotionally on my plate. And he got the brunt of it.
Yeah.
And, so in that particular, now granted, there have been a few times, like 3 in his life, where he faced the wrath of mom. And he knew he was in trouble when it was the wrath of mom versus the wrath of dad. Because I normally don't get mad. I normally don't get angry. I normally don't raise my voice. Now if I do it by mistake because there's other stuff going on and you just caught me in a bad day, I will own up to it. I will apologize for it. In times where these 3 instances, once the law was laid down, a punishment was assigned, punishment was completed, give Austin a hug. He's still my kid. I still love him. But this is a very important lesson. And you need to know this now so then that way it doesn't become a serious mistake in the future. And I will say on those 3 instances, there has not been a relapse for those past behaviors. So, yay for being a good mom. I'm going to take credit for that right now. Just say yay for being a good mom. Now, granted, there have been times that Austin has called me out on my shit for where I'll react and he'll be like, Mom, stop. Is this about me or is this about something else? Right, this is about something else. I'm sorry. Let me take a deep breath. What else is going on? What do you need to tell me that I wasn't paying attention to because of everything else? So it really is just the awareness of, for me anyways, the awareness of everything that's going on in my world and in my head when I need to kind of turn all of that off and focus on the individual in front of me. So then that way they're not getting backlash for something that has absolutely nothing to do with them. Because that's usually the case for me. If I don't manage everything else, it's a pressure cooker. Every now and then it will explode unless you release that pressure. So I think, do you hear that? Oh, great. Minions.
What do you mean minion? Is that a phone?
That was a text message notification. That's a minion from the Despicable Me movies. And I'm going to choose to ignore it.
Oh, good. I'm glad, because I think that was part of the breaking point, was like there's so many things trying to get my attention.
Yes.
And doing everything and its mother to get to my attention at the times that I specifically said no.
Yes.
And it's
speaking, I'm not going to check the message, but I am going to turn the sound off on my phone.
I appreciate you.
Because I forgot to do that before we started recording, and I apologize to everyone for that.
No, it's okay. I almost did it too, but it's fine, You're good. So it's funny.
The person who messaged me could deal with it.
Thank you. Yeah. So Katie and I hope at least we're pretty good at understanding each other's boundaries.
Over the almost 2 years that we've been doing this now, you and I have had enough time talking to each other and getting to know each other that I think we've been able to clearly articulate what our boundaries are and when it's too much.
Exactly.
Now, I'm not always good at it. I will admit I'm not always good at it, but I know I'm better now than I was 2 years ago.
And same. And when it comes to getting a pulse and making sure that I communicate, and I'm making sure that, like, for instance, the other day I called Katie and I was like, hey, do you have 30 minutes? And I'm setting a timer so that when the 30 minutes goes off, I will shut up and give Katie her, because I was very aware that every time I said 5 minutes, it wasn't just 5 minutes. And I felt bad about that. And I was like, no, I can't keep doing that, because that would create a lot.
And you did tell me you were setting a timer, which I was greatly appreciative of. However, what we were talking about during that call was so important.
Yeah.
And we were kind of on a download, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, we were getting the things were flowing.
Thankfully, I did not have anything else on my calendar for the rest of the night. So it wasn't a problem for me to be like, okay, we're in the middle of this. It feels like we need to get this to a natural stopping point. So let's just keep going. There have been a few times where we've been on calls and the timer has gone off and you'll check in with me and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm done. I'm sorry. I love you, but I'm done. I've got this I gotta do, I got this I gotta do, I gotta go do whatever.
And I respect it.
So it works out. The same thing with we both know that if we send a text message to the other one, if we don't get an immediate response, it's okay.
Yeah, it's like, oh, not immediate response, you're going to sleep. Okay. Yep.
Well, that's usually my excuse is I'm going to bed. Because East Coast versus West Coast. I mean, we know there's a time zone difference.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'll
Yeah.
always preface with Katie, not urgent, because I know you're probably sleeping.
Or like me, first thing in the morning, you don't need to respond anytime soon. Because I know I'm texting you like 3 hours before you wake up.
Yes.
You know, so but again, we've built that rapport, we've built that relationship, we've had those conversations. And it's really hard to have those conversations with our pets. As a mom, it's sometimes hard to have that conversation with Austin because he knows that I will drop everything for him.
That's different. Yeah.
So he's learning as to not urgent, blah, 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 blah. But it was funny because last week, what was it? It was last Friday, actually. He wanted to stop by the house to pick some stuff up, and I was out at a networking event. And so I had the sound turned off on my phone, and I was leaving the networking event, saw the text message that said, "Hey, I'm on my way over." And then 20 minutes later, I saw a message that said, "Never mind." And so I sent a message, "Okay, I'm done my networking thing. I'm heading home. I'll chat with you later." Well, my networking thing was an hour and a half away. So I didn't think anything, I just drove home, took my time in traffic, which was a beast, which is why it took an hour and a half to get home. Get home, find out Austin's still here at the house because his laptop wasn't talking to the printer and he needed to print something. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me you were still here when I sent the message saying I was on my way home? I would have given you the password to my computer so you could, print it from my computer because that is hooked up to the printer. So yeah, I didn't want to bother you. I'm like, I hope you weren't bored. And he's like, no, I got classwork and stuff done sitting at the dining room table. So I mean, but yeah, but that's one of those things. He didn't want me to worry or stress or anything else like that. And there's food in the house. I mean, he's fine. He's fine.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
But I mean, it's just, again, we learn the cues from conversations and getting to know the people that we interact with. And the main thing that I try to remember, especially when it comes to some of my tech support clients, I don't know everything that's going on in their world. I only know what's in the urgent, I need help text, the text that they send me, urgent, I need help. I don't know everything else that's going on. And there are times where the tech issue is a very easy fix, but because of everything else going on, they're in a state of overwhelm.
And that could lead to a breaking point.
And that can lead to a breaking point. Especially when they want to take and chuck their computer out the window. And I'm like, you don't need to chuck the computer out the window.
Yeah, but there's a point of frustration. All right, so I think I had like 4 this week, 4 breaking points.
Well, there was a lot going on this week.
Yes.
We'll set the stage. There was a lot energetically going on this week.
Yes. So let's talk about that. Can I point out four?
Sure, go for it.
Thank you. One, me and my puppy. That was four. That was the fourth.
Yes.
She's on the couch right now, and she'll come back. I'll bring her over. But I think she's sleeping, and I put on some relaxing dog music for her to sleep
Aw.
to. So yeah. One. I think this was on Wednesday. I don't know what this was, but it was like, I feel like this week was just like, all right, here's the wave of repetitive stuff that normally pushes all your buttons.
Mm-hmm.
And until you do something, the button's going to keep getting pushed.
Yep. I think that
So
was when you sent me a text message and I'm like, okay, just take a deep breath and center yourself. Because I could almost hear the panic in your voice in the text message, which is really funny because it's all text. There's no, verbal cues for it or whatever.
which one was this one? I forgot. Was this Tuesday or was this Wednesday?
Let me pull up the text message real quick. Let's see. Da, 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 da. I love that I could check my text messages on my computer.
Woohoo.
It was Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay. So on Wednesday.
Yeah, the message you sent me said something about why is that important to you, and you fumbled.
I did. All right. So Katie and I were talking one day. I'm just giving you a little bit of backstory as to why this breaking point happened.
Yep.
So we were talking about when people kind of like, when you grow, people sometimes just don't they kind of attack you a little bit on a
They're not used to the change. They're trying to get you to fit back into their
whatever.
expectations of you. Yeah.
Right. And people tried to do that utilizing, like, I mentioned something about something that I was going to do that Katie and I are doing. We're going to create a retreat.
Yes.
Shared it with them. And then all of a sudden they started projecting their own issues for this retreat. Like, I was in Australia and I didn't actually ground myself. You should have a Native Indigenous American with you to make sure that everyone's grounded. And I'm like, why are you telling me? I didn't say, why are you telling me this? I was like, interesting. Then
Right.
because I didn't really, I was kind of like, and then the next person was like, you should have one of those facilitators 100%. They should be with it. And I'm like looking at them and I'm going, I just provided the structure of everything and what I was doing. And I think that was maybe the fifth time that day,
Right.
that people were projecting their own disbelief in their capabilities onto me. Now, remember, I said disbelief because we're all powerful. But this is what they were trying to do and try to put me back in the box. And then all of a sudden the fire came out and I said something like, hey, can I have one more thing. Can I mention it? And everyone's like, yeah, sure. I'm like, so out of curiosity, how do all of you deal with people projecting their crap onto you?
Oh, you called them out on it.
They didn't know. They looked at me like,
they didn't realize that you called them out on it.
They had no idea. They were like, wait, what do you mean? I was like, when you project onto people and then you end up trying to tell them what to do. And they were like, like what? I was like, look, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
You just did it. And this girl went, oh. And then she looked into herself and said, this is what happens with me. And I'm sorry, this is what happened to me when I was there in Australia. Now I understand that I need to look and be a little bit more grateful about a contribution of what somebody's trying to say. And I'm like, okay, interesting. Person to the left looks at me, goes, did I do that? I'm like, a little bit, but it's okay. And then she looked into herself and went, That's an inner wound of mine where I feel where people have criticized my ideas and what I've been doing. And
Right.
it hurts. It's actually a very relatable thing. And I went, person in front of me looks at me. There's 3 people here. The person in front of me looks at me and goes, so this happens with their partner, because he suffers from complex PTSD and she doesn't really know how to get to the grounds of understanding. She experiences a lot with somebody who's like, they're suffering, and
Right.
she hasn't been there, so she doesn't know what to do. But she took responsibility and was like, but that's their stuff, not mine. And I went,
Yep.
thank you, everyone. Honestly, this has been such a relief. I appreciate everybody doing this, because honestly, if I held this inside any longer, I'll keep breaking furniture. And they're like, breaking furniture? I'm like, I don't know what it is. I've just been like, I've been so enraged by it that I've just been productively trying to move furniture, but then I keep breaking it, not deliberately breaking it. And then they all turned to the ones, we were all chanting. They all turned to what we were chanting at. And we closed out the meeting and I went, great. Thanks, everybody. And then I texted Katie saying, I fumbled. I didn't say, why is that important to you? I said something totally else. Because I just had it.
Yep.
And apparently that shifted something pretty deep, because otherwise I would have just been quiet and broken another piece of furniture.
It's an interesting lesson, because it comes up in so many different ways. And especially in this situation that you're describing, with people who are projecting and telling you what you should do for your event or for your life or for your job or for whatever. The best statement I ever found was one that I developed with my mother-in-law when she was trying to tell me how to raise my son. Because she raised 2 of them. She knew what she was talking about. I developed the response, you might be right.
See, these are the nicest things that Katie has done. And then there's my responses. They are not the same. Like,
no, they're not the same. But again, I was from a place of, I need to do everything within my power to minimize confrontation. And it wasn't because I was afraid of someone hauling off and hitting someone or yelling and screaming or anything else like that. My mother-in-law is German. That's a completely different culture. And I grew up in an environment where it wasn't safe to speak my mind, especially if I disagreed with the quote unquote authority figure. And if we're at my in-laws' house, guess who's in charge? My in-laws, because it's their house. So the response was, you might be right. She felt heard. She felt seen, and she assumed I was going to follow her instructions to the letter, and she was happy.
yeah, and then there's me.
I never did.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. But it's,
I never did, but she didn't know. And if she happens to listen to this podcast, as a parent, so many people want to give us free advice, whether we ask for it or not. And some of it's good advice, some of it's rotten advice. But again, people want to be heard and acknowledged. So I found a way that I could acknowledge them, let them know that they were heard, and then I'd go do whatever the heck I wanted to anyways.
Then there's me.
And then there's you. I mean, this didn't always work. I will admit, this did not always work. There were plenty of yelling and screaming matches between myself and my husband.
Yeah.
But it it happens.
Well, it's circumstantial, right? Like sometimes one day it's going to click. Katie said this, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it because I know in that moment it would work. It will 100% work. And then it'll provide the result that Katie has gone with, because that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. And I will say most of the time, I can't say all the time, but most of the time it does work in reference to diffusing a situation. It doesn't always work because the other person wants to argue. At least that in my experience, the times that it did not work, the other person wanted to argue. They wanted to have that fight. They didn't want to be pacified that I was listening to them. They wanted me to argue with them.
Yeah. And it's even subconscious too when people do that, right? It's crazy.
It is. And it's an interesting fact because I've done it where I've made a comment, someone made me feel heard, but I wasn't ready to let go. And I still, for lack of a better term, poked the bear. I was trying to get her, and I wasn't in a good space when I did it because, again, overwhelmed, overworked, overstressed, all of these things add up to blocking our capability of thinking clearly. But we're human.
Yeah, totally. There was this, speaking of which, so when people poke my bear, completely different response. Like you'll see everything shift. It kind of goes from like, because I'm like usually sweet, bubbly, high-pitched, enjoyably like, hey, yay, yay, woohoo, thanks, life, it's fine, it's okay, I'm good. What the? And it just all shifts. Facial response, intensity of my eyes, deepness of my voice, my vocabulary increases. Because I don't care to dumb myself down anymore. I'll just go straight to like higher vernacular and share exactly why this is not good. Let me just explain where this boundary is. And let's make sure you understand that this is going to be reinforced tenfold. Stop. And it was just like, and that's only happened a few times.
And understandable. I can't say it's reasonable because I don't know the context of the situations, but I understand that it happens.
Yeah, thank you. It does happen. I remember watching really productive and successful executives who can get things moving.
Right.
2 times mistake, 3rd time never. 3rd time fired. Right.
Yeah.
And the best bosses, or the best leaders, in my opinion, they will ask what happened the first time.
Right.
Give you clarifying information as to how to do it correctly the next time.
Refinement. I like it.
Still thank you for the effort. And then go to the next thing. Second time is like when their bear is aggravated.
Right. And
they're like, I told you this, and keeps you accountable to a strict T.
And I do believe that, again, context is important. And there's a difference, at least in my mind, about having this kind of holding someone. Well, no, actually, it applies both for work and for home and for family and for friends and everything else like that. Because, if I'm going to meet one of my friends for a cup of coffee and we agree to meet at a certain time, and the first time they show up and they're late, hey, we said we were going to meet at this time. I know you have a crazy schedule. I have a crazy schedule. If you're going to be late, can you just give me a heads up? If it happens a second time, same kind of compassion. If it happens a third time, this is just their habit.
Right. And that's kind of where
it sounds like that's where the leadership was, is we've acknowledged it, we've refined it, we've provided additional training or whatever, But if you're going to continue making this mistake, then repercussions, consequences to the actions. And I think that's something that we need to remember, that there are people in our lives that occasionally have, I guess you would call it, taker tendencies, where they're so focused on themselves that they don't consider someone else's time, talent, treasure, whatever.
Right. And I feel bad because Katie and I have a solid relationship when it comes to this, because these are the building blocks of trust.
Right. We've had a lot of practice.
Yeah. And like, look, I've been on the other side of this too, where I had a habit and I didn't change the habit, and thereby I got fired, or it was the wrong relationship. It's fine.
Right.
But there's always a different person that can build that relationship with you, and it'll show up. And that's really kind of where I've become a little bit more lax in the 5 to 7 times versus the third.
I think that it really depends on, for me, context. If it's a work environment type situation and I am training an employee, then the guidelines based on whatever the company's rules are might be stricter. It might be a 3 strikes and that's it.
It depends. Like, for instance, if I came late to our podcast every week,
one of 2 things would happen. One is I would call you out on your shit, but I would do it very politely, but I would call you out on your shit. Or 2, I'm like, okay, this time doesn't work for you. Why don't we just start recording 30 minutes later?
Yeah. But then if I was late to that too, like,
but if you were late to that one, if you did that, if you were late to the original time frame, we bumped it back 30 minutes, you were late to that time frame, we might not have a podcast anymore.
Exactly. But look,
I will grant you leniency because you grant me leniency.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Look, there are times. So,
but there are times that you do have to put your foot down, and I think that as long as you are clear, you have one more chance, and that's it.
Thankfully, we haven't had to go there, you and I.
No, we haven't had to go there.
Yeah, we're pretty good on that, so that's why I'm like, it's fine. There have been times where sometimes the reciprocity is just not there. It's just not.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I won't even say you get a second chance. I'll just be like, I won't respond to the message.
There are some people that you work with in one time and then you choose not to work with them ever again. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Some people you just don't work well together with. And then there are the times that we do, like I said, we do refinements, we talk, we get clarity, and if need be, review values. What's important to us? Why is it important to us? But there does come a point, I think, in every relationship, whether it be business, coworkers, friends, family, acquaintances, even strangers, you could have one conversation with someone, then decide that you're never going to speak to them again because there's just something that is not in alignment with you.
Exactly. And it's kind of like, at the end of the day, you can't fault somebody for not being in alignment with you. It's just different. You have different values. It's perfectly okay. But you don't have to hold on to that. The breaking points come when you do.
Yeah. When you try to hold on to something that's broken.
But yes.
Or
you're at your wit's end. Like, if you're in full force execution mode on everything that you really love doing, and you're in alignment with your mission, you're doing what you need to do, anything that doesn't help you or drains you from being in alignment, you will have a breaking point where relationship will end.
Mm-hmm.
Either good or bad, doesn't matter, whatever happens. They will either fall away, or you will figure out a way to be like, all right, we can let this go. Thank you very much. I wish you the best. And you go on and do your best to whatever you need to do.
Right.
And you focus there. If there's like a little bit of, like, I love my dog. My dog was trying, kind of draining me a little bit today.
Mm-hmm.
And I just snapped. And she corrected herself in the loyal, sweet dog that she is over there. I promise I'm gonna bring her over and give her the biggest hug so you guys can see her. I love her. And then, yeah, I let the dust settle a little bit, and then you go back into working mode.
Oh, and it's one of those things that we just have to find a balance.
Oh yeah. You want to know one of my funniest breaking points?
Sure.
I think I only mentioned 2 from this week, but there were 2 others. But this wasn't even this year. This was a long time ago. I can't stand bullies. It's like, especially if you're bullying one of my friends. Nobody else saw that unless you were on YouTube, then you saw my face. But essentially, there was this one person that I went to go and support. I wanted to connect her with one of my friends as well. Her name is Jill Lublin. I think we all know her. And she's an amazing PR expert who basically helps you understand how to really publicize your story in a way where it actually does receive results.
Yes.
On top of that, she also puts you on, like, it gives you as much podcast availability as possible. People like go to her. They're on like 20 podcasts right afterwards as an interview.
She helps you be seen.
Yes, and clearly communicate your story, your mission, etc. So I really appreciated her, right? Go to support her. She's speaking at a speaking event with a bunch of speakers. I don't want to say exactly which one, but
that's fine.
Yeah, so she's up on the stage, and this one person starts heckling her. Like, why do I need this if you're going to talk about like, and she's just throwing shade, and I'm going, what the heck?
Wow.
Then a second person says, yeah, if I don't need it, and like, she's standing there looking like she's roasting. As this person's like, yeah, if I do, like, what's the purpose of that? And I go, can I have the mic, please? And of course, I'm the youngest person in the room.
Right.
I get the mic. Have I told you this story?
I've heard it before, but I don't know if our audience has.
So I get the mic. And I'm like, to be a truly successful leader, you have to be likable. And I look at
and you look back at the people who were talking trash.
Yep. And this was the biggest drop mic I've ever like done. And I was like, honestly, I'm here because Jill has done an excellent job with publicity, especially from my point, where it got me to a bunch of different papers, and it helped me actually push an entire movement that respected the lives of Asian Americans who were going through hate crimes. So with that being said, being likable is a great start. And I just remember my face getting red and like feeling it get red. And
right.
The one thing that I do understand about myself before I get into trouble, if I am really doing something like that, I will say what needs to be said that is strictly, to respect other people so people can stop being disrespectful. It's very important. Plus, I'm a little feisty about it, but hey, it creates value. It's fine. And I actually ended up like, I think a good 80% of the room came over and talked to me afterwards. Like, hi, what's your name? I'd love to be friends with you. But it is one of those things where like, I had it. I was like, what are you doing? And it's important that when you feel like the scales have been tipped in that way, where there's an injustice, standing up for the respect of everybody, not just yourself, but people around you. Oh my gosh, that's valuable and important. Yes. That should be a breaking point. Otherwise, we're going to be enslaved for the rest of our lives, folks. Fix it.
Well, I think that
I'm kidding. I'm so sorry.
Right, but what you demonstrated was you found a way to shift the energy and the perception before it got to the breaking point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if the breaking point happened, I know Jo, I don't know her well, but I do know her. You know, I can imagine that if it got to the breaking point, she would have walked off that stage.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see anyone who puts in their hard work and has the guts to get up and talk on stage
And she
be
traveled
heckled
there.
off. Yeah. So I would say that you helped prevent the breaking point.
It's a good way to put it. Yes. Because, yes. I'm trying to think of like, so that was, I'm sorry. So those were two. That was one from and then there were two more. I forgot which ones. There was one that was like, huh.
I don't think you texted me about any other ones other
Oh,
than
but
the Wednesday one and then our phone call.
I had a few.
I remember you sending me ones about energy, about the energy just being off.
The energy was being off, but it was pretty much like we all go through our cycles, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we're on the brink of a breakthrough or air quotes breaking point, which actually ends up being a breakthrough, depending on how you overcome it.
Right.
It was just incessant. It was the projection crud where I was just like,
Yeah.
enough. It was the my puppy, I love her. Point. It was what else? It was understanding. Like I was sitting there one day and I was like, when negative thoughts come up?
Yes.
And they come up just in full force some days and you just can't stop them. Like I felt like there was a giant typhoon of negative thoughts and negative criticisms or self-criticisms or whatever it was that kind of came over me. And then I was just like, I'm grateful that passed. And that was a breaking point and a
Mm-hmm.
breakthrough. I was like, oh, good. That's all good. I can just keep chanting to be grateful so that I can switch from the negative thoughts to the gratitude. Because homegirl was getting tired. Yeah.
Being grateful can be challenging at times. But for me, I've decided I'm not good at it, but I've decided that I can be grateful for the things in my world, even if I'm not grateful for the person who originally gave me an item, because I'm grateful that at that particular moment in time, it was a great gift. And I still love the item, even if I don't love the person. That's not true. I love everyone. I just don't always love their actions. But just, I'm grateful for myself, the fact that I have this item in my life, or I have this painting or this picture or this sign. I've got a lot of really great signs, sarcastic signs up on my walls, and they make me laugh and they make me smile, and I'm very grateful for them because otherwise life gets boring. And sometimes in being in states of overwhelm with all these negative emotions or on the verge of breaking points, all you have to do is look up and read a sign that says, "Don't meddle in the affairs of dragons, for you are crunchy and good with ketchup."
Do you know what? I actually have something similar. I'm going to show you real quick. Something funny.
Okay. That's only one of the signs I have up on my wall of sarcasm.
So I painted this, right?
Oh, is that your new one?
Yeah. So this is like a kind of like a darkness to the light type of abstract thing. And there's a quote at the bottom that says, "How did we become stars?" And on the left side in silver,
Yep.
says courage
See
and
a little bit of the. Okay. Courage and
gratitude.
gratitude. Yeah,
I
I could see a little bit of the reflective, but I wasn't able to read it. So
Yeah, there's a lot of light going on.
Mhm.
So this is very, serious and contemplative and whatnot. Yay. To make me laugh.
we love the smiley faces on the side. That is great.
Yes. So every time I pass it, I'm just like,
And I think ending on smiley faces is the best thing to do for this episode because we are coming up on our time.
I appreciate you all transferring those breaking points in the way that you can, because me being sassy, apparently it works. But whatever works for you folks.
Whatever works for you.
Have a great
Whatever works for you. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that the discussion today will inspire you to take positive action in your life. Until next week, be empowered.